Now the president apparently is sending in 400 trainers into Iraq. What do you make of that?
It won't work. It's just a duct tape approach. He's trying to hold it together, pass it on to the next president, not break a campaign promise. He is so fixated not going back to Iraq that he's letting our nation become more at risk, because ISIL wants to do three things. They want to purify their faith, destroy the state of Israel, and come after us. And they're going to hit us here at home if we don't do something about the caliphate in Syria and Iraq.
President Obama says he and his administration saved this economy from going over the cliff, and he says that things are going in the right direction. Companies are making a lot more cash. Unemployment is down, depending on your mark of factoring in labor participation. And they say, they paint a pretty rosy picture. What do you say?
Well, I say most Americans, 60%, think we're going in the wrong direction. Our economic growth is stagnant, and it will never get better. Obamacare is basically hurting the economy, not just health care. There's so many companies dropping coverage on their employees because under Obamacare it costs too much. These folks are going to exchanges that are heavily subsidized by the federal government. Between Medicare and Medicaid, we're already broke at the national level on the health care front. The regulations he has proposed over his presidency is stifling the economy. If you had a major minimum wage increase now, it would be hard to hire people. As to the middle class, the only way you can grow the middle class wages is to have competition for their labor.
You also said recently that you'd find a place for a lot of people, including Caitlyn Jenner, you were asked about.
Yeah, I was asked about, would I accept her support? Yes. Now, I'm pro-life, and I support traditional marriage, so I want her to know, and anybody who votes for me, what you're getting. You're getting a committed pro-life candidate, a voice for the unborn, a person who supports traditional marriage, both without animosity. If the court rules in June that same-sex marriage bans are unconstitutional, then I'll work on protecting religious institutions so they can practice their faith without government intrusion. I am always going to speak up for the unborn, but if we can't agree on abortion, let's talk about taxes and national security. So to Caitlyn Jenner, if she wants a candidate who will keep her safe and this country prosperous, I would welcome her support, knowing what you get with me.
Gun control.
Just hold it steady. I'm a Second Amendment guy to the core. I believe in two things. Gun ownership is a constitutional right, but with that right comes responsibility. If I were President of the United States, we would not expand background checks, but we would go after people who failed them. There are over 9,000 felons on the run who failed a background check under the Obama administration, Eric Holder's Justice Department. I would have gone after them and put them in jail. You can be a responsible gun owner under a Lindsey Graham presidency. We're not going to take your guns away. We're going to protect your constitutional rights. But if you commit a crime with a gun, you're in trouble.
You mentioned your mom and dad, and you mentioned your sister.
Yeah.
Is she into this?
Yes, she's into Lindsey Graham. Of all the things I've done in my life, the most impressive thing is my sister. When she was 13, she lost her parents within 15 months. You know, her world changed dramatically. I was 22. It was hard on me, but it was hell on her. We had a loving aunt and uncle who never made over $25,000 in their life. They came to our aid. I was able to finish college. Neither one of my parents finished high school, but my sister's turned out terrific. When she introduced me, is all I could do to speak. She's got 2 daughters. She works for a Vogue Rehab in South Carolina, helping people who have been devastated physically get jobs. Of all the things I've done, I am so proud of my sister.
So for the governors who are running who took Medicaid, what do you say?
I think you made a mistake because it's unsustainable. Medicare and Medicaid are the 2 largest items of the federal government. We have $18 trillion in debt, $70 trillion of unfunded liability. What does that mean? When the baby boomers retire in the next 20 to 25 years, we're $70 trillion short to pay the Medicare bills and the Social Security checks because we don't have enough workers. So when you expand Medicaid and make it completely free to the states, you're putting more pressure on a federal government that's about to fold. So it was a mistake to expect that the federal government could live up to that promise of including more Medicaid people and we would be 100% forever.